In 600 meters, turn left. You have arrived.
Just 3 years ago, Moonshot was just an idea.
Absolutely delighted to be here as one of your hosts on this stage.
Everybody, and welcome to Moonshot 2025. All our other sponsors and partners. You'll find them in the exhibition areas, onto the stages like this, and rooms all over.
But we do not do it alone. If I go to the next
welcome again to Moonshot 2025.
About Africa's digital rights. Customer life cycle.
Effort in building a very strong fintech, a very strong
how it started, right?
Over the last few years,
cities are defying old perceptions to join the ranks of the world's best.
I believe
I checked this. Say hi. Good morning.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This is actually my first time at Moonshot, so I'm really excited to be here. Celebrate that, celebrate that. I came across this podcast, which was 10 years ago now. You know, in this top 1% of developers in years. And it was really impactful for a number of reasons. Like, it really helped me develop my skills. So
opportunities became borderless, and Africa was included. But with that promise also came pain. Because at some point, these your digital assets have to be
what economic decision you could have made. And I know this because I have a lot of people that chat back. I used to write, they know me very well in the embassy. I used to write everyone's recommendation. Even though I was telling people not to chat back, I would still write a recommendation letter. I wish you luck.
it can be abused. We've seen videos of people.
We have a deep network in Nairobi, so somebody in my company knew the recruiter in the company and reached out, and the guy shared her pay stubs. So like, she's actually
And massive arrest, or if you're dealing with anything crypto, they find a crypto app on your phone and all of that. In fact, that was even actually what gave birth to the association in 2018 because
Creatorial, excuse me. Can I have Adora on the stage, please? Can I have Adora? And now let's bring up Salem and start sending your questions in now on Slido, okay? You can address either of them on the stage to make it easier for us to filter. Enjoy the conversation, guys. Thank you.
Our life is taking care of us.
Clap your hands for that.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Good afternoon. How are we feeling today?
Super excited to be here. I mean, seeing all the beautiful faces makes me pumped.
Thank you guys for turning up. This is actually so exciting. We're excited. Thank you so much. So this is the closest thing you guys are ever going to get to watching us do Creatorial, and this is the first time we've ever had this big a crowd. So it feels like you're in our studio right now. So you're in the middle of history. Please clap for yourselves. Before we jump right into the conversation, I want us to play a little game. There's no pressure, there's no prizes. The prize is that you are here. Just shout which one you are, right? Can we do that? So, first one, which one are you? Quiet genius or loud visionary? I feel like if you are at Moonshot, you're a loud visionary. Which one do you lean more toward? Chaos brainstorm or structured planning? I'm very surprised that the structured planning people are loud, because that's indicative of chaos.
It's organized chaos.
It's organized chaos, thank you. Finally, collaborator or lone wolf? That's what's up. Collaboration over... you don't know. Collaboration over competition. Collaboration over... Adora. When people hear the phrase purpose-driven brands, in fact, the word purpose existing in the same sentence as brand makes some people feel like it's just a bunch of buzzwords, you know? So for you, what does it actually mean to build a purpose-driven brand, and why is it important?
So I think for me, building a purpose-driven brand is really building from that place of truth, right? Building from a place that is anchored in something that you really believe in, and not necessarily just something that you're trying to sell. Because a lot of businesses just are so focused on selling that they don't realize that people can sniff that inauthenticity when you're not building something that you truly believe. I always say that the most powerful thing you can ever build is something that is anchored on a mission, right? Yeah. So it's really important that we understand that in this era especially, right, a lot of audiences don't care only about the product or the service or the platform. A lot of people, the audiences now care about things like, alignment, values. They care about story.
Yeah.
For you to even be able to tell a powerful story, it needs to be anchored in a belief system.
You need to actually believe it.
Yeah. Like, and people are looking out for things like what's your worldview around stuff, And even with what we're building, like we're very focused on creators, right? And the reason why we're focused on that is because we've experienced it. So
ourselves.
The reason why people are in this room and excited about what we're building is because we're creators, we're building for creators. And I think that's very key with whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah. Is this something that can coexist with
the need for you to make profits? Because, you know, the next question I think somebody's just going to ask is, okay, I mean, this purpose thing is very nice, but like when I have investors, when I need to make money, when I like, who's going to care about all of that? So how have you handled that balance between building from a place of something you care about and also not being emotional about it because you need to make a profit? Are those two things that can coexist?
100%, absolutely. And it's hard, but it's necessary, right? Like, I think about purpose as the thing that gives meaning to your work, but then profit, right, is also the thing that helps you sustain the momentum and also helps you sustain the systems that you need to put in place, right, to be able to build that thing out.
Yeah.
And the hard part for a lot of creatives, especially, right, is being able to articulate the profitability, right, in what they're doing, and showcase that, yes, I'm building something that is on purpose, but it's also investable, right? It has systems, it has structures, it has the right type of founders, it has the right type of teams, right? And people try to shy away from that because as creators, we also have what I call like the creator ego, which is, I don't need to explain it to you, it will work. You know, I'm so sure that it's gonna work, I'm so sure that it's gonna, you know, it's going to change people's lives. And while that is true, I think just being able to also put in the effort to showcase that. As far as, you know, moments where I personally maybe felt, you know, as though I'd have to face something like that, I think it's more when you're building and you have those, you know, those moments where you have to choose between fast and profitable versus like slow and true. I've had moments like that where, you know, it's like, if I go fast and if I focus only on profit in this moment, right, it might appear to be working, but it isn't aligned with what we're really trying to build. I started this by saying, you know, really believing in your mission. So I asked myself, is it aligned with the mission? And I've got to the point on my journey where sometimes slow is fine. Slow growth can be fine, especially if it's true, right? And as long as you're giving, you know, value to whatever it is that you're trying to build.
Yeah. So someone might then think that it means purposeful building has to be slow.
Not necessarily.
I don't think that's what you're saying. So what would you say to someone who's thinking that?
I don't think it has to be slow. I mean, you can build momentum. We're building momentum with what we're doing, right? So you can build momentum with it. When I say slow, I'm just saying that there are times where you have to be okay with the process that comes with showing credibility over time. Because visibility is one thing, there's visibility and there's credibility, right? So you can be visible and building that momentum, right, that people get to see. But then that credibility takes time. Yeah. It takes time, and sometimes people don't see it. People will not see it overnight. Yeah. So you must be okay with that slow process of showing that you are true to your brand, which is your promise, over and over and over again, and then you build the loyalty. Right? At the end of the day, trust is the currency of impact. For people to trust you, they're not going to trust you overnight, right? Yeah. It's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah. Please stop Adaora, it's very tough to be your co-host, right? Because sometimes, I mean, because sometimes I'm trying to, you know, continue the conversation, but then I get in student mode, and then I get lost. Do you get what I'm saying?
And I think that's the beauty of our relationship, though, right? Is that we're also committed to lifelong learning, so we're always learning from each other, and I think that's beautiful. Now, when I was answering my question, I said, you know, like the newer audiences, they care more about the story, they care more about alignment, about values, and those things, you know. So for you, like, how do you think brands can be more real with the way that they interact with their audience?
Yeah. First of all, they need to genuinely care, right? Because now I see a lot of brands, brand managers, different people just wanting to jump on a bandwagon. You know, once it's International Women's Month, everybody suddenly cares. You know, once November is coming like this, everybody's just like, oh, you know, we want you to do this thing for me. It's like, but we exist every other month of the year. You know, so brands need to genuinely care. Whatever it is you're doing, make sure you're not just jumping on a trend. Make sure you're doing it because the people you want to reach, you deeply understand their problems. Which is one thing I love about community. I'm a very community-driven person, and sometimes when I've had consultations with brands and they say, "Oh, we're trying to build community," I go back and forth with them, asking them why, and then we end at a point where it's like, you don't have to build a community. Community doesn't have to become a marketing buzzword, right? Community is a real human need. So if you know that as a brand or as a business, you know, you're not in it for real, like, you know, you just want to try and get to the bottom line. You're not going to have the presence of mind or the manpower to deploy people to actually care for that thing, then don't even start, you know. And this is not me saying, like, I understand that a business is a business, you have to make money, you cannot just, it's not a charity, right? However, that should then determine how we choose the projects that we decide to use to give back. It shouldn't just be random. It shouldn't just be like, oh, it's Women's Month, so let's do this. Oh, it's Men's Month, so let's do this. No, we should think about it deeply. What are our values? Who are we trying to reach? Not every company has to be trying to reach everybody for every trend. Just know exactly who you're trying to reach, genuinely care about them, and show it over time.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And there's a lot of power in community building. So as much as you say, like, not everyone needs to build community, I also think the age that we're in requires, to some extent, building community, you know. And I think more brands, more businesses, you need to, because really, what is community? You know, it's being able to take your audience and transform them into people who really believe in you. And the way that they believe in you is by showing up consistently for them and caring about them, right? So whatever business, whatever brand you're building, is just, if you actually invest in community, in actually understanding your audience and bringing them into a space over time, I feel like it just makes it easier for you to even connect with them, get data, and sell, right? Like, because you want to understand the people who are in your audience, and what's the best way to understand them? It's actually by, you know, listening, but then by bringing them together. And I also find that in this age as well, we're seeing it in multiple co-creation. Right? We're seeing people now want to actually co-create with the brands, co-create with the organization. What is your experience of that?
It always works so much better that way. I'm also a social media influencer, and I don't hide it from brands that I prefer long-term partnerships. Every now and then there's one time, you know, there's a campaign, pay to do this, post this video, one and done. I prefer long-term. I prefer to be associated with you like we're married. I feel like it works better for everyone that I'm permanently associated with a certain brand. And I think many more brands should take that approach. You know, of course it won't work with every creator. You need to find creators with whom your values align, with whom your message aligns. You have similar people in both audiences, but because they're a person, but because they're a personal brand, they have a larger reach quite naturally, and so you just connect those dots and then work with them over a long period of time. When they have events, partner with them. If they have an ebook, you know, or if they have a book, sponsor the book launch event. Work with them on their merch. You know, different touch points over an extended period of time. I find that that's so much more effective in the long run, in one, building community, two, deepening trust on both ends. Because, like you said, trust is the currency of impact. You know, like, trust is the thing that makes, trust is what allows you to keep a promise, to make a promise and keep it over and over and over again. So brands should not just think from a purely marketing standpoint, but from a longevity perspective also.
And I think even just in terms of that, you know, focus on the people. Like we talked again, I want to just reiterate this, right? We talked about like just the importance of not just leveraging your community to try and sell, but leveraging your community to try and collect information that helps you to actually solve their problems over time. Yeah, great. Are there any brands that you would say? I don't know any brands. But for you, what would be a brand? It could be It doesn't have to be like mainstream, but what would be a brand that you say has got it right? For you?
You know, oddly, it is DW. Anybody know DW, the news channel, German news channel? So they started a program, I forget the name right now, but they work with a lot of TikTok creators across the world, many countries in Africa. They don't have to move to Germany, and those people report news from wherever they are. And those creators, I spoke to someone who works there, and those creators are getting paid like really well. And what happens is those creators, it's not an influencer partnership type thing. It's not a user-generated content thing. They're making content for the news channel, for social media, with their faces, and then they collaborate and just put it out there. That's something that I found very interesting. I love that, you know, because people are starting to argue that journalism is dying. So I love that they took that approach to know that, to take advantage of the fact that everything is moving social and not be mad about it like, oh, all these kids, their attention span is so short, nobody reads anymore. And rather they're working with them, collaborating with them. They don't have to change anything. They're still with their colored hair and their t-shirts and everything, but they're on the news channel on TikTok.
So